for the Fusion software. Here, I want to first to create the model. So to create the model, I have to go for the drawing. You just click on this and you can see this is the model which I want to create. So to do that, first I will go for the Fusion software. So we will take the origin as this point, which is at this point, which will going to be the 0, 0. From here, the distance is 12 mm. So to do that, first I will go for the Solidate software, Fusion, AutoCAD Fusion software. You just click on that and I will go for the top view. Just click on the sketch, which is the top plane, and this top plane will going to becomes parallel. So then I will going to draw a line from here. I will take some distance and I will draw a horizontal line of any distance. Then from here, I need to take the dimension which is 30. So to do that, I will go for dimension, select this and give the dimension as 30. And then from here, you check this dimension, which has to be 12. So you make this 12. This is by using the dimensional constraint. Then I will go for the circle and go for 2-point circle. Select this point and I will take another point on the same line. And then from here, I will go for a line of 28 mm. So to do that, I will go for line again. From here, I will draw a line of some distance. Then I will go for dimension. And here you give the radius, which is of 12. So that means the diameter will becomes 24. So here, then you have this distance, which is of 28. Then take this distance as 28. And then I will going to trim this particular portion of this. Then I will just move this to this side. Then again go to circle, take the 2-point circle, select this point and you take one more point here. Then you go for the diameter, which is 13, that is the radius 13. So go to dimension, click on this, make it 26. Then again you go to line and from here you draw a line of the point, which is again you go for the dimension. From here it is 15. Go to dimension, select this and make this dimension as 15. Now we have this entire thing, which is 13. It is from the bottom, that is toward the top. Then you go for trim, select this portion and trim this. Then from here you take to this vertical side, you take this dimension as 80. Go to line, select this line. From here you take this dimension as 80. Go to dimension. From here you take this dimension as 80. Then you come down to this, again go to circle, take a 2-point circle, select this point and from here you draw one more point. That again from there you draw a line, that is from this point. You take that and you draw a line. Then you draw this vertical line here. Now you go for dimension. Then you take this dimension as radius 10, which becomes 20. Then from here you have the dimension of 20. Again from here you take this dimension as 20. Then from here you don't know that dimension. So later on we will go from here. See, from here, that is the bottom, you have 45. Then you come down to this. Then go to line, select from here and draw a line of any length. And you take this point and from here you draw this. Then go to dimension. So from here it is 45. So select this line point and to this point you give the dimension as 45. Then from here it is 40. That is from here it is 40. Okay. Now we have the dimension and go to fillet between this and this, which will going to be the radius 5, which is been done. So then I will go for, yes, now that is the radius 5. I will go for trim, select this portion and trim it. Once you complete this, now you are totally constrained all the dimensions of the profile and go to finish sketch. then go to 3 dimension, and from here go to extrude, select this profile and give the distance as 20. That is the depth what I'm giving. So this is the body which we want to create. So to this, I need to write a program, how to do the programming. So to do that, uh, now this is the first stage of my drawing. Once you do that, now we will go for the profile. So I will go for the manufacturing. So to do that, first we'll go for design and go to manufacture. Once you see that, then your the process will going to change here. All the data, all the parameters which is going to go change it to the manufacturing. That is from the design to manufacture. First thing what I need to do in the manufacturing is first I need to give the setup. So what is the setup which will going to look like? So the moment when you click on setup, you can see that you have the setup dialog box. First, if you want to select the machine, you can select the machine. Otherwise, you can leave it. Then the setup is the operation. What type of operation I want to do? That is either it is a milling or turning. So I will go for the milling because that is the one which I wanted to do now. So I will go for milling. And then in the world coordinate system, the orientation is the model, then origin. So there are two things here. One is the model origin and the other one is the machine origin. The machine origin is always fixed, but whereas the model origin, which can keeps on changing. The machine origin is the fixed zero and the model origin is the floating zero. So here what we are assuming that this machine zero will, we are assuming that the machine zero at the lower left corner of the sheet, lower left corner of the table. So I will going to select the orientation, that model orientation and the machine uh, orientation or the machine zero will always must be coinciding. Then only your program will going to become right. So to do that, so the orientation is the model origin which I want. So then the origin point what I want is by the model box point. Now we'll go for, by default it will always give the stock box point. But now I want the model box point. You just click on this. And now you can observe that the tips it has been changing from, instead of this, it has taken here. If you look from the front view, you can see that here it is, the point is being shifted to this. This is the model origin and this is the stock origin. Suppose if you just go to the orientation and click on, suppose if you want to go for the origin and if you go for the stock box point, see the difference. So it has been shifted there. That is from here to here. But what I want is, I want it at the model box point. You just click on this. So the model point will come here. Then go to the 3D. And since the z-axis is to be perpendicular to the plane, which is x and y, so you just click on this. So what happens? Automatically, the origin will go to shift from the center point of the model to here. So once you do that, now I want to go for the stock verification. So what is the stock I want? So here, which is in always it is in relative, that is with respect to the model, I want to keep on offsetting. Stock side offset. So here, if you just go to the front view and you can see here, the stock offset, side offset is this, and the top offset is this, and the bottom offset is this. So the stock offset by default it is 1. I will going to take it around 5 mm. So you can see the stock offset on this side, and also when you give fit, you can see here this, you can see here the stock offset has been increased. So you can see here the stock offset is on the side, which is x and y. That is the side offset. Stock top offset I will also take 5. So you can see the stock offset been increased. Then I want to have the stock bottom offset. I will going to take up around 20 mm. So you can see the stock offset at the bottom is 20. That is basically because I want to clamp this at the beginning, and later on in the second setup, I will go to machine the bottom portion also. So this is how I will going to set up the model. So once you do that, then the post process we don't have anything to do. So what are the stock dimension? The 133 by 111.963. But of course, because that is basically because for the entire profile which is considering, from that profile which will going to be get offset. So that is the reason why you are getting this decimal point. And the height is 45 since we are given 20 here and 20 at the bottom and the top is at 5. So this is 25 plus 20, it will become 45. And in the sides also you can see the 5 mm offset on this side and also on this side. That is in X. If you see, you will have 12 mm. So this him. You can see this is 12 and this is 80. 12, 80, 92 plus 102 plus 102 you are getting. Once you are getting 102, then from the this side also, which will going to be considered as 10. So you can see from the top, you can see here, this is the profile what you want from the top also. So once you do that, now we will go for OK. So this is the initial setup of the drawing. Once you do that, now we will go for the facing operation. That is the one which I want to do from the top. So this is the top side and the z-axis is going from this origin. If it goes to the, if it goes above from the, as we move away from the job, it will be positive. As we are coming towards the stock, then it becomes negative. So now I will go for the facing operation. So first we'll come to the operation here. So go to face. Now first thing is I need to select a tool. Which is the tool I want to select? You just go to the select option. In the tool library, you can see that milling tools. And in that, I want to take the face mill. So you just click on the face mill. You have one cutter, which is 50 mm end cutter. You just click on that and you go to select. Once you select that, the cutter will going to appear on this. Now I need to change the sum of the parameters here. So what is that? Basically the cutting parameters. So the moment when you talk about the cutting parameters, you have the spindle speed is the one which we are considering, which is in RPM, and this is in surface per minute. That is the cutting speed is in meter per minute. Now since it is 5000, I will going to reduce the speed. This depends upon the cutter parameters which will going to be given in the dialog box or which is there in the catalog. The moment when you when you take the cutter, so for that particular cutter in the catalog, you will going to have the specifications. You have to refer that and you have to enter. Now, as per our this thing, I will take around 1000 RPM. That is the RPM at which you are cutting speed. So according to that, you will going to have the surface speed. That is the one which is, it is in RPM, it is converted into meter per minute. The ramp spindle speed. Here, the ramp spindle speed set the speed of the spindle when performing ramp move, which is move that allows the tool to enter the block of the material gradually. So that is the one which are ramp speed. So that is by default, it will going to take the, suppose if I change this, then automatically that will also changes. So that is the reason why you don't have any control over this. So that is with the 1000 RPM. Now the cutting feed rate. That feed rate means what? The feed of the job which will going to move. So controls the, if you see here, you can see here, control the feed rate which the tool moves along the workpiece. The cutting feed rate is expressed in units of distance over time. That is distance over time. So this feed rate, again, that depends upon the diameter of the cutter you are considering and also the type of cutter you are considering and also between the job. So for the time being, I will be considering it as 100 per minute. That means per minute it will going to move the distance by 100. So because since as the cutting takes place, it will going to generate the forces on the cutter which will going to be developed. So you have to be careful when you are considering that. Then lead in feed rate. As the start cutting, as the starts cutter starts cutting the job, at what rate it will going to come and enter into the job. And lead out feed rate, that means once it after the cutting, the cutter which will going to moves out of the job. So that is lead out. I will take this lead out as more and this will try to reduce the cycle time of the job. Once you do that, now we will go for the geometry. So which geometry I want? The geometry what I want here is the one which is already stock selection, which is on this, the geometry So the moment when you start clicking on this, you need not have to select this geometry here. Then you come down to the heights, come down to heights. So that is the clearance height. If you go for the clearance height, that is the retract height, you can see the clearance height is here. So where is the stock? The stock up is the retract height. You can see the stock here at this point. So top height is the stock top. Then the retract height is from the stock how much distance. That is from here to here, what is the distance you want. So by default, it has taken 5. Yes, this is the stock. And this is the model top. This is the model top. This is the stock top. And this is the top height, that is the feed height. So then you have the retract height. The retract height is this, that is from the stock top. Then you have the clearance height, that is from the stock top or the retract height from here. What is the distance? As you try to move this retract height, that is the clearance height, from the, suppose if you want, this is the retract height I am considering. The retract height should be always to keep away from the job. So that is our the main thing. Now if you take the bottom, that is the top height, the top height means that is from here. If you say top height, so automatically from the top height, it will go to take 10 mm. That is from the top height. That is from here. If you take from model top or the stock top, then you see the difference. Stock top, from the stock top, it will go to take 10 mm. So that is the meaning. So if you take, that is the clearance height, I will say 15, then you can see that from the stock top, it will go to take 15 mm. So this is how it will going to take. So we will not going to change anything here. That to show for the explanation, that is the reason why I given that. We will always keep away from the job in the beginning. That is because to be safer side, so that the cutter will not going to come and hits the job. That is our main intention. The remember that the stock is from the from the job, it is 5 mm because we are given at the distance at the stock as 5 mm. So that is the one which we need to consider. So the retract height is from the stock top, it will be 5 mm. Feed height again from the stock top, it will going to be from the stock top, you will going to consider 5 mm. Then top height from the stock top, that is the top height, which is that the top height from the stock, it will be offset is 0, top height. Then the bottom height is the model top. Okay. Once you do that, now you will go for feed. The moment when you're considering the passes here, so here we have always it will take the by default. Then you come down to the multiple depths. Here the maximum step down every time how much it will going to be. Since I have given the 5 mm as the stock top, so from that every time it will go to pass 1 mm depth of cut. Then you just click on OK. Now you can see that the cutter will going to pass from here and it will going to generate the cutter path. You can see here, this is the one which will going to be taken care of. Now we will go for the simulation. You just click on this, go to simulate. Then from here, if you see, as you move through, I will reduce the speed. You click on this. So this is how it will going to take. So when you are coming this, I will take this to the side view. You can see how exactly it will going to take. So it will goes in this direction. Again, it moves back, come down here. Then you select this in 3D. Now you can see how it will going to cut. Again, it comes back. And so it starts, this is the second depth of cut it is going. Then you increase this. Then you can, so this is the second. Then we will come to the third one. This is the third depth of cut because I have given 5 mm depth of cut. For every time it will going to move only by 1 mm the depth of cut. This is the ideal conditions. This is the fourth one. Now here what is happening is it is cutting only in one direction. But if I want to, this will going to, what it going to happen is it will going to increases the cycle time. So in order to avoid that, I want to cut it in both the directions. If I want to do that, then I will going to exit the simulation and come down to right click and go to edit, come down to this passes. Now here you can see cutting will be taken place on both the sides. You can click on both the sides and enable it. You can always go for the edit options and change the things which you want. Once you do that, you just click on this and now you can see how it will going to changes in this case. Now I go to simulate. Again, I will now in this case I will going to increase the speed. You just see the cutting is taking place in the both the directions. Now you can reduce it. Now you can see previously it was cutting in only in one direction. Now you can see the cutting is taking place in both the directions. So this is how you will be able to control the uh, cutting, optimize the cutting conditions. So once you do that, now we have the first portion is over. Now we will go for the exit simulation. And now again, we will go to this and come down to the contour machining. Now we will go for escape. Now you go for 2D contour. Again, now we'll go for the select option. I want to go for the tool. Select the tool now. So now I want to have the side that is 5 mm on the both the sides I want to cut. So to cut that, I will go for milling tool. Now I want to go for the flat end mill. You just click on this. Now in the initial stage, as you see here, sorry, cancel this. As we see here, so this is the stage at which you want here till here I want to cut. But here I will, since you have the outer profile, so I will going to move by step by step. So to do that, I will go for the select tool, come down to the milling tool and flatten mill. You select 10 mm as the milling end mill and you select it. Once you do that, now you have the spindle speed. Reduce the same speed what I have given in the last face milling cutter. The same thing you give it here 100, and this you keep it on, do the same thing for all the cutters. You just take 200 mm. Then you come down to the geometry. Now in the geometry, in the previous case, I didn't select anything. But here, since it is at the top, I didn't select anything. Now I want to do the 2D contour. So since it is the 2D contour, the contour milling, you have this the profile where from where I need to start. I want to start from here. So to do that, you just go to chain and you click on open chain. The moment when you click on this, you just click on this point. Now here the cutter is moving from this side toward the left side. That means as we are always seeing from the behind the cutter, so the cutter is moving towards the right side. Cutter is moving to the left side of the profile. So this is the operator who is looking from this direction. The profile is here and the cutter is going to this. So you are moving, the cutter is moving towards the left side of the profile. So naturally, I want to give the start extension. Here, the job is you have some distance extra. So the start extension, you take it around 10 mm. Now you can see here, it is coming up to here. Now, if I want to take this, can I take this till here? So this is the next question. If you want to take that, then it will goes back into this. If you want to take, say for example, I will just uh, see how it will go to take in place. Now, first the 0 is here. Now I will going to select this portion. Now again I will going to select this portion. Okay. Now I will select this portion and now I'm going to select this portion. Let us see how it will going to take. Now your starting point is 0 and I will go for this and I will say OK. See the difference now. Once you do that, I will go for heights. Then, so since I have already removed the stock top, you need not have to worry about. Then you come down to the model top and select all these things to the model top only because the stock is already removed. Then you come down to this bottom top, sorry, model top. Then bottom height is the selected contour which is already selected. And if you come to this, so here the roughing pass, yes, I want to give the maximum step over as 9.5. By default it is take. because now you are not using the face milling cutter. Instead, you are using the 10 dia cutter. So I will going to take it around. The step over means every time how much it will going to move along the radially. That is the meaning of this. I will take around, since it is 10, it is giving it as 9.5. So I will going to take it as 8 Number of step overs. For the time being, we are going to take it as 1. Then for the multiple depth of cut, I will going to take 2 because I have the step of 20. So I will going to take 2 and now I will just minimize this and I will say I will close this. See what is the difference. The moment when you do that, you can see here. So the cutter will going to move it in this direction and you can see here the some portions are being left out. So this is the problem what you will going to face when you are going for the entire pass cutting. So to avoid this, what we can do is the one way of avoiding is that is one way, and this is the way which you will going to get. Suppose if you want to go for the simulation, you just click on this, and now you see how it will going to be considered. You just go to simulate. Now you can see this is the profile which you are considering. So I'm going to move it faster. So here the condition what I have is I need to remove all this material. So that is the problem what I am going to consider. So in order to avoid this, we will going to take the step by step. And also here we have the radius. It is sharp here, but we can't get the sharpness when you are doing it on the programming, because it will always consider the radius of the cutter, which is inevitable. So I just go to this edit tool. I will consider edit. Now you come down to this. What is that? Geometry. Now I will just remove this geometry first. I will just click on this geometry. Sorry. Click on this chain. Go to open. Select this. Now I will going to take the start extension as 10 Okay. The end extension is 10. So I'm going to take somewhere around here. I will going to take it around 30 or I will take 40. Okay. I will take 40. Now you can see this is the end of the cutter. Till here it will going to remove the material. So once you do that, I will come down to this. So here I will go to the passes. Now here the maximum step over. You come down to this step over, because you have that cap. No, for that I need to take around 2. Let us see how it will going to performs now. You just make it 2 and see okay, and check whether it will going to remove that material. Now you can see that that portion has been removed. Now you'll go for simulation, simulate. Then I will just go for this cutting. Now you can see the previously how it was taken and now how it is doing. So the profile I can be able to control by giving the distances, like the one which had the bridge, that bridge has been removed now. So this is how you will be able to cut down the profile into number of steps, so that I will be able to get the desired profile and with a proper machining. So once you do that, now we will go for the next part of the cutting, that is on this portion. Now again I will go for 2D contouring. Then you come down to this, select the same tool, it's already there. You just go to geometry, select on this, click on this profile. Okay. Now you have 10 you 0. I will take 10 on this side and also 10 on this side. Okay. Then you just click on this. Now you come down to passes. Of course, the height, retract height, stock top is there. You bring down to model top. Repeat the same thing. Model top. And here also you take model top. And then selected contour is this, which is already taken, which is 0 offset. Yes. Then you come down to passes. So here you just minimize this and come down to the roughing passes. So 9.5, you take it around 8. Okay. And then the number of step overs, we're going to take it as 2. Then we'll go for the multiple depth of cuts. You take 2 Okay. And then you say okay now. See the difference. Now you have this profile has been completed. Now you go to simulate. Then you come down to this and you check how this will going to be processed. So now you are opening that contour here. Now once you do this, the next thing is I want to machine this particular portion now. How? By giving the minimum radius. So that means the radius of the end mill, what I need to consider now is to be less than 10. So as far as possible, you have to reduce the radius of the contour at that particular point. That is at this point and also at this point. To do that, I'm going to exit this. Now we'll go for 2D contour. Okay. Now again, you go to the select option, the tool selection, come down to milling tools. Now you come down to flatten mill, then come down to the diameter 5. Don't go less than 5 because it is 5 itself is small. Still, if you go less than 5, then it becomes, there is maybe a possibility of so breakage of the cutter. So end mill. So I will going to take it around 1000 mm RPM. Then I will going to take the cutting feed rate as 100 meter per minute, 100 mm per minute. Then the lead in and the lead out is also I will take 200. Okay. And now you come down to the geometry. So the geometry, the moment when I click on this, you select on this now. So that is from here. So let it be there only. Then I want to take this profile. Okay. And from there, I will going to take this out. Yes. And I will take this beyond that. This is 0 only. From here, I will take around 15 mm outside. And if you want to reduce this also, you can reduce because you are already machined till here. So if I want to take around, so from 0, if you give positive value, suppose if I say 10, it will come out of this. But now I want to go inside, I will say -5. So that means it is from here it will going to take. Okay. Then I will say okay. Once you do that, now you come down to the heights. So again, go to the model top because stock top is already removed. Then come down to the model top, that is the feed height. Then the top height will going to be the model top. And the bottom height is already, I have selected the contour. And then you come down, don't say okay now here itself. Then come down to passes. Now here, the passes which will going to remain the same here. Don't change anything. And come down to roughing passes. Here, the diameter of the cutter, what I am taking is 5. So you are going to take it as 4 step overs every time because every time if you want, there will be a marking in that. So the number of step overs, I will going to take it as 2. Okay. Multiple depth of cuts. Here, the multiple depth of cuts here, I want to take it as 2. Okay. Then you just minimize this and say, okay now. Now you try to reduce. Now you can see here, the cutter is removing, but still this amount of material is there. That is basically because the what you are considering the step over in the beginning, which will going to be the problem. Here you come down to the passes. So here the number of step over what I need to consider is to be more. Now if I say for example, I will say 5 and say okay, remove this and come down to this and say okay. Now you can see that is removed. But the problem is if you see here, there are some idle step overs. This is not required as such. So I want to step over from here. So I will going to reduce the number of step overs now. So to do that, I will just go to, so if you want to see how exactly it will going to behave, you just go to simulate and try to see that. Now, if you give simulation, now you can see here it is, yes, it is taking the cutting at this beginning. Yes, this is also okay. Or you can reduce it by at least by 1 step over. So I will just go to exit simulation, come down to 2D contour, uh, go to edit. So come down to passes. Here I will take 4 for example, and I will see what happens. Whether you really, I want to, because the main thing is I want to reduce the total cycle time. Now here it is not possible because you can see there is the removal of material. If you go for this contour and try to simulate in the beginning itself. If I give 4, see what is happening. The material is not removing at this particular point. You can see that here. You can see this material has got some bridge here. So I want to remove that bridge. So that bridge can be removed only by considering the step over to be more. So to do that, I will just go to the passes and give the number of step overs as 5, and then you say OK. Now you say OK, and that passes will going to be removed. So once you do that, now I will go for simulation on this case. So I will just go to this. So you can increase the speed. Now you can see here the step over what it has been moving. So this is how it will going to remove the material for 5 mm. This is the radius what I'm talking about. This is the one which is as far as possible you have to reduce this. Now I'll go for exit simulation. Now you will go for the next, this entire phase is over. Now we will come down to this particular portion. So come down to this again. You go to 2D contour. Now select the same tool. Now you can take the 10 mm tool because you don't have any radius at that particular point. You just click on this end mill and say OK. Now you have the 10 mm and give the distances as 1000, and now you reduce it to 100. Now you come down to 200. OK. Then you come down to geometry. Select this geometry as single. You select this. OK. Then you come down to heights. Take model top. Take this also as model top. This also as model top. Okay. Then you come down to passes. Go to roughing passes and make the distance as the step over. I will going to take it as 2. Then you go for the then you go to the passes and come down to multiple depths. Take the depth of cut as 2. And then here when you are going for geometry, if you are selecting on this edit, now here the distance what I want, I will go to take around 10 mm from here. That is because anyhow we have this on this side, and on the end case, that is at this point, I will take around, you can see the depth here 10 mm. So we are taking 10 on this side also. So there I will go for another distance of 20. So that is the end of this, and I will say OK. Now you can see that portion is removed. Then you say OK on this. Now you can see that portion is totally removed. Now you go for the cutting. Now when you see in the top view, you can see that the cutter is cutting here. So it has been totally removed. But do I have anything here? Yes. Here you can see that the depth is only removing this particular portion. Now, if I go to the simulation part and go to simulate, and you try to machine this, try to reduce the speed. Now you can see this path, cutting it here. Now again coming down to this, cutting this portion. Now it is removing. So I will go to the speed. I will going to increase the speed. Now the step over how it is been considered. Now we are removing that. Then once you remove this, now we will go for this particular profile now. So to do that, I will go for exit simulation. Now you come down to this, then you rotate this portion now. Once you rotate, now we will consider this portion. Go to 2D, go to 2D contour. Now you select the tool as 5 mm because there you have the end mill which I need to consider. So give 1000, okay, and then come down to this 100. Then here it is 200, okay. Now you come down to geometry, select this geometry, go to chain, make it open, select this, and you take this extension as 10. I want to take it from this end. Now you can see in the other direction also it is going. Now again you come down to OK. Then you select this portion and you try to increase this distance. I will going to take around 20 mm on this side. OK. So or you can take 30. Anyhow, there is no material there. Let us finish it off at that particular point itself. Then you say OK. Then come down to heights. Take a model top. Then come down to model top. Then come down to model top. Then selected contour. Then go to depths. Then you remove passes. Come down to roughing passes. You take radius is 4. We're going to take 4. And for the time being, we will going to take the 3 mm step over and the multiple depth of cuts. We're going to take 2 mm. Okay. Then you remove this and say OK. Now we will try to remove this portion. So this again, this problem is there. That is basically because of the step over. Then you go to 2D contour, go to edit, come down to passes. So here you take 4 or 5, let us give 5. And then come down to passes, remove multiple depths of cut and say OK. Now it has been removed. OK. Now you go to simulate. Once you are through with that, then you go to simulate. OK. Now we try to machine this portion. Now you can see that portion has been removed. So this is how you will be able to write these programs like the programming can be done. So this is how the contour is been getting machined in the beginning. Now you can, even if you want, you can increase this also on this side. But that control anyhow we can be able to remove when you go for the next particular passes. That is the advantage what you have with this. Now, the next thing is I want to take it to this portion and you complete till here. Okay. So to do that, I will go for exit simulation and go to 3D and now you cut down this. Now you go for 2D, go to 2D contour, then go to select the same tool again. Don't change anything. Come down to the geometry, come down to chain. Now you select this portion first. Okay. Anyhow, we are starting from here. This dimension is, I want to take it around 10 on that side. Okay. Again, it is comes on this side for 10. Correct. Then here, once you come to this, you take this portion now. Only that radius I consider, and you take this portion till here. Now you take to this portion. Okay. And if you want, you just only take till here. Okay, because anyhow the cutter is small. Since the cutter is small, I don't want to take that chance of getting into the conditions. I will going to take around 10 mm on this side also. So no, I will going to take 20 mm on this side. Okay, and then I will say okay. Then you come down to the heights, go to stock top, model top, come down to the model top. Similarly here also you come down to model top. Then you go to selected contour at the bottom, go to hide passes, then go to roughing passes. Here I am going to take around 6 passes. Let us see how much it will going to take, because that is the one which you are considering. And then in the multiple depth of cuts, you are going to take it around 2 and go to this pass and multiple depth of cut, and I will say okay. Now you can see how much it will going to be removed. So this portion has been removed. But now this entire case, we are not able to remove this particular portion. That we will going to remove it when you are going for this particular option. So again, if you want to give this to be removed only in this particular setting, then I have to increase the number of passes. Once you try to increase the number of passes, then what happens? Till here, if you want to remove, then I have to give more number of passes. Say, for example, if I say go to edit and now come down to passes, now here I have given 6, I will take around 10. Not that it cannot be machined there itself. You can do that here also. Okay. Now you come down to multiple depth of cuts and I will say, okay. Now you can see that portion is removed, but still you have something. Again, go to 2D contour, go to edit. Now you come down to this passes and here I will going to take around 15 passes. And now you just say, okay. Now you see the difference. So finally, I will be able to do this. But the problem is this much amount of number of places, if you want to go for simulation, and if you try to simulate this, see how much time it will going to take. There is no cutting takes place in the beginning itself. So every time you are just wasting the cycle time of your job. So in order to avoid that, so what I am doing is I am reducing the number of passes in the beginning here itself, so that because since the cutter is small, so I will not going to take this much. I will going to take around 7 passes, and in the remaining that case, I will going to remove by using the different end mill. Now, as we remove only this particular portion, now if you go to this and if you try to simulate, and if you try to give this, now the moment when you start, it should be able to cut the material. That is how you should be able to start cutting the material. Now, once you do that, now we are at this particular point. Now we want to take it from here. I will going to remove the remaining type of material by using the another depth of cut, another milling cutter, sorry, end mill. Again, I will go to 2D, then 2D contour. Now we go for select. Now I'm going to increase the diameter because you have just only the one portion which is left out. So I will going to take it as 1000 RPM. Then I will going to have a cutting feed rate as 100 mm per minute. Then I will go to have the lead in, and this is the lead out, 200. Come down to geometry, go to chain, open the chain, select this one, and you select, sorry, 1 minute, you just delete this, go to chain, select this one. Now in this, you take around minus 20. First extension is minus 20. How much is this distance? This distance is 20 here, no? So I will given minus 20. So it is somewhere around here you're going to take. And then the extension of this I will take here. Then you just pause it and just take around 10 mm on this side, or you take 15, because finally it should pass through it. Okay, so it start from somewhere around because already I have removed so much of amount of material. So minus 20, no, I will take around 10 only, so that let it be safe, so that you're going to avoid that the material there. Then I'll go for model top, then come down to this as the model top, then similarly model top, then selected contour, then go to passes, then here go to roughing passes. You take, since it is the cutter of this one, I will take around 8 passes. Then you go to multiple depth of cuts, take it as 2. Okay, select this and say okay. Now it is been removed, but still you have the lot of things which is being left out. Okay, so to do this, I need to uh, go for the bigger diameter cutter end mill, and the another thing is I will go for edit. Okay, you go for edit. What is the cutter diameter? 10 mm. Yes, and I will go for number of passes. I will minimum step over is 2. I'm taking, sorry. The minimum step over is I will take around How much it is? 10 mm. Now I'm going to take around 8 and say OK. And say OK. Now you can see the step overs will going to be increased, and now it is trying to remove it. Now you have this, still you have left out with a small this thing that I need to change it now. You just go to edit, come down to passes, and you make it 9 and say OK. Say OK. Now we have completed this portion. The entire profile has been machined now. So now I will just go to simulate this portion only. Now you go for select, try to reduce this to some distance. Now you can see the cutter is removing the material. Now that is just rubbing there. It is just cutting. It is not cutting. It is just touching that particular point because I have selected that line. So that is how it will. But when you go for the final simulation, you will be able to know that there will not be any miss growing or something like that. It will going to be happening. So you just go to the exit simulation. Now this entire profile has been completed. Now if you just go to the setup and go to simulate, and now you just take it out and see the machining now. So this is the verification what I'm trying to do now. So this is the first setup what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to uh, mill the profiles. Yes, this is the first is facing. Now the contouring is been taking place. Then the second one which is going on. Now the if you want to increase the simulation speed, yes, you can increase it. Now that profile has been machined. Now you can go for the third profile, that is the 3D contour, 2D contour in the second extra portion which is trying to remove. Basically what it is doing is you are removing the extra material whatever it was there as they considered as a stock, and keeping the remaining the profile as it is. Now you are going for the third case. So this is the major advantage of what you are trying to do in your machining. Now if I will increase the further, so that I will reduce the time of simulation. Now we are trying to remove this portion, and then see how the fast it is taking place. Now we go for the fourth one. Now you can see this is how it will going to remove the material. If you try to just visualize this in the 3D profile, you can see how exactly it has been removed. This is the profile what I want. So once you do that, now this will come out of the simulation. Now we want to remove the bottom which was been there for about 20 mm which I have given in the bottom case. Now I will go for the second setup. I click on the second setup. Now for milling, then I will just go to this portion. Okay. Now you fit it. Now I will just drag this portion. Okay. Right click and say okay. Now I want the origin. The origin of what? Model box point. I will just take the model box point, and then the orientation I will going to take. Okay, model box point. I will just click on this portion. Okay, so now it is at the bottom now. Previously it was at the top. Now I'm selecting this portion. Now I want to change the orientation. So to change the orientation, go to z-axis plane X. Now you just click on this now, because that is the one, because the Z has to be moved. So now I will just click on this and see the Z axis is in upward direction. I will just click on the flip Z axis. You just see the Z axis move to the bottom. So once you do that, now the cutter will going to come from the bottom now. So then I will go for, there is no removal, or there is no need for the stock. Previously we have already selected the stock. I want to remove only those stocks. Now I want to go for stock. So mode is from uh, from preceding setup. This is the one which you need. By default, it will be there. So you need not have to worry about from preceding setup, because that is the one which I need to be considered. The first setup I have considered, and now I have to consider the same setup from the preceding setup. I want to do the machining. But when you want to go for the setup, what happens? In the machine, once you complete the first setup operation, the machine will going to stop. Now we need to remove the material. We need to remove the object, and we have to set for the second setup. That we need to do it manually. Once you do that, I will just say okay. Now you can see, uh, once you do that, now I'll go for 2D face milling. That's all. Now you can see the cutter is coming from the bottom. Now I'll go for the select. What I want to select, I want to select the 50 cutter. You just click on this, and again the speed, you reduce the speed 1000. Now you give 100, then you give here it is 200, laid out to feed rate 200. Okay, sorry, 200. Then you come down to geometry, that is at this point. Now you go to heights, stock top. Okay, where is that stock top now? The stock top is at this point. Go to this. Now you can see the stock top is at this point. Then top height. Then you take stock top. Then stock top. Then you go to model top. Okay. Then go to passes. Go to multiple depths and take every time you try to remove two, and then say okay. Now this is how it will going to remove. Now you go to 3D, then go to face, simulate. Now you just reduce the speed and give the cutting speed. So now you are trying to remove the material from the bottom now. So you just try to increase the speed so that it will going to move faster. So this is how it will going to be removed. Now you just go to the edge simulation. Now I want to do it for totally now. You just go to the setup, right click and click on simulate. Then you start doing it again. You just click on this. Now you can see here the cutting is taking place from the first case. Now you are removing from the, that is the 2D contour of the first setup. Then 2D contour 2, it is the second. Then you have the 2D contour of 3. Then you just reduce it. Okay. So only that simulation, it will going to take more time. Then once you start accustomed to this type of the splitting up the things and then doing the job, then that becomes easy for you to be able to create the profiles, and splitting the operations into number of steps, so that you will be able to go for the actual machining. But when you are doing it in simulation, you will not be having any sort of things. But when you're actually going for the machining, so you have to consider a lot of things which I need to be considered. So by considering all those factors, I have programmed this. So this is how you will be able to create the program for that particular 2D contour profile. Now I will just increase the simulation speed so that it will move faster. Now we have the last 2D contour 6. Now we are removing this. Then you go to the last one, which is the removal of this material. So then after that, the setup of the second one, it will going to take, and it will try to remove the material from the bottom. But actually, it is not removing from the bottom, it is from the top only. So now you just see the rotation of this. So this is the actual profile, what you will going to be able to get it now. So once you do that, now how much time it is actually taken, you just go to the statistics. The machining time is somewhere around 9 hours and 48 minutes. So this is how you will be able to find the simulation time, that is the machining time, actual machining time, what we are considering. So for this particular type of job, you may require around one particular shift. That is what which will going to be considered for your this thing. So in a particular shift for this particular model, you'll be able to do this. And you can also reduce the cycle time by considering the different ways of doing things, but only the control is on the feed rate and the cutting speed. Again, I'm telling you that is stressing on this. Once you are considering the cutter, we need to look at the catalog of the cutter, whatever you are using, and you can also edit the cutter dimensions also, that we will going to consider all those things and in our future videos. Now once you do that, now I will just exit the simulation. Now I will going to save this. I will go for saving, and then I will say contour 1. First I need to save this. Once you do that, so since it is in Fusion, always it saves in cloud. So once you do this, now we go for the actions. What is that action? I want to go for post process. Then you take the Fanuc mission. The program number is 1001. Okay. Now I want to consider the output folder is day billing program. And here the preferences of optional stop, preload, all these things which will going to be default. You need not have to change anything. Okay. Just click on post now. Then you go to the operations, the list of operations what you are considered, all these things which are going to be considered directly. And here the work offset, whatever the things which has been considered, it will be what are the drills you have been considered. All those things which are going to be considered in the program will going to be listed here, and you simply say post. Then you just multiple setups, yes, you just say okay, and override the program, yes, because already one program is there. So NC code successfully posted. Now you will going to get this on your sheet. This is the NC code for this particular program. As you see this, once you go to this, and if you see how many number of lines you have, it is somewhere around 6,753 lines. So this is how you will be able to create the NC part program for this particular model. So once you do this, now I will go for again action, then setup sheet. Okay, then sorry, go to the select folder, then you come down to milling program, select this, select folder, multiple setup. Now you will going to get the setup sheet of the program, and this is the one which you need to be given for your operator, so that he will be able to recognize what types of tools have been used and all those details which are going to be here in this particular setup sheet. This is the one which has to be given for this is it will be in HTML5. So you just close this. So this is how you will be able to create the model and program this by using for the 2D contour.